Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. Again, I'm Joe Panther III, and today, Ringside crew, you're in for a treat. International fans, you're in for a treat as well. I have a young lady that's just getting her feet wet into the professional wrestling independent world. Let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome to Slammin' Sammy. Welcome, Sammy. Welcome, Sammy. So excited to have you on the podcast. Sammy, welcome. Can you hear me?
Hey, hi. Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Awesome. Awesome, Sammy. So who trained you?
Okay, I train from a company called Rise Wrestling. Our training center is called the Stronghold Training Center. I trained under Brandon K. Again, one of the best, I have to say. He's been really beneficial to me, very good to me, and just been helping me throughout along the way to now.
Awesome. So what kind of advice did he give you within like wrestling and like the style of wrestling you do?
Gee, he gave me for the advice on the style, he told me just be yourself. He's like, be your own individual style, have your own thing. Don't be so tied down to something else, you know?
So how did you get into this? How did you get this love of professional wrestling? When did you get your start loving wrestling so much?
Okay, so my dad before I was even born, he loved pro wrestling. He watched WWE all the time and all this stuff. Even whenever he was dating my my mom back at the time, he had the Stone Cold Steve Austin hat and the Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt. He also saw Mankind versus Undertaker in the Pittsburgh Arena, very, very famously known. Yeah, he loved that stuff. And then once he had me, once they had me or whatever, I was 3 years old, and he started to put it on for me. And what we would do is we wrestle on the couch and stuff and just imitate wrestling moves all that time.
Awesome. So when you first stepped foot in your training facility for the very, very, very first time, what were you thinking? What was your thought process? Were you excited? Were you nervous? What were you thinking?
I believe at first, before I walked in, of course, I was obviously very excited to start this new chapter in my life, the chapter that I've always actually wanted to start in my life. But I also had nerves. But once I step in there and everybody started, shaking my hand and being nice to me, I just knew that this was the right place for me.
Awesome. Do you have any professional wrestlers that you've been watching on the independent scene that you've been dying to wrestle that you haven't had a chance to wrestle yet?
There's a lot of good ones out there. I have to say no, not yet, but I'm willing to wrestle whoever comes along.
Awesome. Is there any places in the country or the world that you would like to travel to that you haven't been toured yet?
Gosh, there's so many of them out there right now. Japan's a good one. Japan right off the back is a good one, and then you have going to the UK and stuff like London. Those are always great locations and spots for wrestling. So,
do you ever go on YouTube and just look up independent wrestling and just watch anything that you've not seen before?
Yeah, I do that from time to time here.
What is your most watching this watching indie wrestling? What have you ever watched a move or seen something that you saw on YouTube and you try to mock it when you're doing a match?
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a lot of moves, and I study a lot of wrestling, so I try to find the best things I can to use in the using the ring, and that can always help me out whenever I'm wrestling.
Mm. So like, what is your normal schedule like the week of a show? Is it more cardio? Is it more weights? What is it like for you?
God, well, honestly, because my schedule is so busy because I'm still a student in high school, so I go to school every day. I come home, I'm either going to the gym, or I'm either going to training during the week. So either the either so like I'm going to school, coming home, eating dinner or whatever, then going to either training or the gym.
Mm, that's cool. So like, do you like? I know a lot of wrestlers do a lot of like running on the treadmill and like. So do you do like? Because what would you if my fans from the UK are trying to get used to that, get to know you, like. What would if you had to give them like a top 5 of the explaining Sammy Slammin' Sammy? How would you explain your character to them?
I would say that like my character is very like a very defiant character, a very aggressive character who's had to that's the first thing. And then I would have to say my character is like a very like a Rocky Balboa inspired like character, because I've always had people who've doubted me my whole life, telling me that I can't do it, or that I'll never do it. But then you prove all the doubters wrong, and all that stuff. So yeah, very defiant and aggressive, and also willing to prove anyone wrong, and just very like a strong-willed, like stubborn character. Like,
Awesome.
mm,
That's good to hear, Sammy, because there's a lot of people, young wrestlers like you, that they they're excited to be where they are, but they're kind of nervous because it's so new to them. So for like you being in high school, have you ever had any kids that you've like been at the show and you didn't know that they were in the same school as you, and they see you in the hallways or see you in class and you're like, oh my God, that's Slammin' Sammy.
no, honestly, I have not. As of like outside of pro wrestling, I really have no social life. So
Oh, well, wrestling is always like a family. You
yeah,
always have a place here on Dudes at Ringside.
that's good enough for me.
Yeah, but you always have a place here on Dudes at Ringside, Sammy, because me, I say I have friends. It's like that TikTok. I've got friends. I got definitely have friends, and then I just look around me and I go, "Does a cell phone count? Does an internet connection and an Instagram account count as friends? Not really."
Yeah.
So, like, do you ever like think back of like when you were a kid and now you're like you're in the ring and doing all this stuff and have you ever had a little kid at a show like come up to you and say, oh, I want to be like you are now, and go, wow, that was me when I was a kid going up to wrestlers and stuff like that?
I have not experienced it yet, but I know whenever I definitely do experience it, it'll be something special, and it'll mean a lot to me in a way, because it means to me that I've done something for that little kid.
Yeah. So like the the here we go. At the end of the show, when you leave and you're gonna go home, like what is your favorite like cheap food that you could eat for dinner? Like what's your favorite food to eat after a show?
Oh gosh. Honestly, like after the show, I just kind of like do my own thing. I do my own deal, because I don't party. Not typically a party person. Just never will be a party person. I usually like to stop at like a good like restaurant or something. I know that usually it's like something that's open late, like Denny's or something, but in this instance it's like Applebee's or something, because they're one of the only other people that's open much more later. That's the problem with getting back from a wrestling show, and you're like, oh, well, what do we do now?
Yeah, wrestling. Independent wrestling, am I right? It's
Right.
like, well, there goes my easy chance of getting a nice juicy steak or a nice big burger. It's gonna be like you're gonna get chicken here you go. You're gonna get chicken nuggies or like a Big Mac or a last minute taco at Taco Bell. That's about it. Like that's about it. So In closing, Sammy, if my fans would like to pick up anything Slammin' Sammy related, do you have any merch yet or anything?
I'm gonna be having merch at around like the next Rise wrestling show. Feel free to pick up stuff like that and all that.
Awesome. When is the next shows? When are the upcoming shows? Do you know the dates yet?
I have no idea yet, unfortunately, but like just like keep like watching like social media and stuff. That's the benefit of that. Just like keep watching social media and stuff for whenever the next one I'm in or so.
Okay. If they want to follow you on social media, Sammy, how can they find you?
They can find me at so on Facebook they can find me at Slammin Sandwich, SLAMMIN with no G at the end, and Sammy SAMMY. And then on Instagram they can follow me at Slammin Sammy Official. Once again, SLAMMIN SAMMY Official, and then the Twitter account they can just find me at Slammin Sammy. Same spelling again, just no G. And then at TikTok they can follow me at Slammin Sammy 101. Same one without a G. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sammy. That most fans are like, how did they say they're gonna have to watch the video again just to hear how she spelled it? So, Sammy, before we go, if there was any kids out there watching the podcast, what's up, guys? Don't forget to subscribe and give it Sammy a nice little like. If there's any kids that want to get in the business, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would give them, just like the advice of just remember like to be yourself. Be yourself at the end of the day, and work hard no matter how much it does, and don't let like the doubters and stuff get to you ever.
Awesome. Sammy, Slammin' Sammy, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It means so much to have a young rising star like you are. And as I said before, you always have a home here on Dudes at Ringside. If you ever want to come back on and you have something happening, you win a championship, you have a match that you want to promote, DM the page. I would love to have you back on. It's so cool to be able to have a young star like you coming up. Because I remember interviewing Billy Starks when she first started out, and look at her now. She's on top of Cloud 9 in ROH. I'm Joe Panther III.
I'm Slammin' Sammy,
and we will catch you in the next.